Hello, welcome to our very first Behind the Sounds Songwriter series. I have the wonderful Ashley Ray here with me today. We're going to be talking all about her journey to becoming a great Nashville songwriter and also her new single, Waiting, which is out today. You can download it now. It's available to stream everywhere. Welcome, Ashley. Thank you so much for being here.
Yes, thank
across
you.
the world.
Thank you. I'm so excited to be going somewhere in my mind.
I know, virtually we are traveling. So obviously you're going to perform a couple of songs for us later, including the new single, which we will go into more detail about, which I'm very excited about. But I wanted to kind of start off. You've been in Nashville for 17 years, I believe.
Yes.
So what was the first? When did you move? Why did you move? What was it about Nashville? I know it has a magic to it that not many places have, but from your perspective, what was it that kind of pushed you to finally go?
Well, I knew I was 18 when I moved here, and I knew that I wanted to do music. I knew that I wanted to write songs, and this was just Music City was the place everybody talked about. So I actually had a friend, Sarah Buxton. She's from Lawrence, Kansas. She's an incredible songwriter. She's from the same hometown I'm from, and she had moved here and went to Belmont University. And so I started getting curious about that, and I called and ended up talking to her mom. Sarah was on tour at the time, so I ended up talking to her mom on the phone, and because my mom was like, Ash, I feel better if you go for school and do the music thing, but I'm not just going to take you to Nashville and leave you there.
Yeah.
So I came here and I auditioned for Belmont School of Music and ended up getting into that program, but then later switched to music business, which I'm really happy for. So I ended up going to Belmont 4 years, graduated. I had already been writing songs and playing out a lot while I was in college, and I got a publishing deal shortly before I graduated. And I just that's how it all started.
Amazing. And who would you say kind of growing up were your songwriting influences or your musical influences that kind of steadied you onto this path that you've come on?
Oh my gosh, so many. My parents, my mom can't carry a tune in a bucket. My dad had a decent voice, so they would always sing around the house. Bob Seger, huge fan of his. Not only his rock and roll mentality, but also his songwriting. He's written a lot of his records and songs by himself, 100%ers. So Bob Seger, Willie Nelson, I loved the Judds, of course Reba,
Yeah.
Fleetwood Mac. So I kind of went back and forth between classic rock and country, and Creedence Clearwater Revival. Then I fell in love with the Dixie Chicks, and it was over. I mean,
Yeah.
I love them. Yeah. So
Amazing.
many. Bonnie Raitt, oh my gosh, just so many. Patti Loveless. Patti Loveless is probably, she has a record called When the Fallen Angels Fly, and that record is what I finally was like, I'm going to do this. Like this is the kind of music that I want to make, kind of songs that I want to write. And so Patti Loveless.
Amazing. And do you remember your first performance in Nashville? The first time you stood up on stage here?
I do. It was when I had auditioned for Belmont. Actually, the night before, I was going to have an early morning audition, and my dad said, let's go to Broadway. I mean, we had probably been in town for 10 minutes, checked in the hotel, and we went down to Broadway. And I remember hearing, you just walk by the doors and there's a new song somebody's covering coming from every bar. And we kind of followed. We heard this like raspy female country voice, and We walked in and there was this woman who had like 6 instruments, guitar, piano, like banjo, everything on stage. And I looked at my dad and we were kind of like, we're going to stay here. So he threw a 20 in her tip jar and he said, my daughter sings. Can she get up and sing one? And I ended up singing with her. I mean, every song she knew. I would say, do you know this song? I ended up singing with her probably for 2 hours. And that was it. It was amazing.
Yeah. I mean, I've found that about Broadway, is just any person you see playing in them bars, they will just play whatever for whoever. And it's like nothing else I've ever seen or heard. It's amazing. So kind of fast forwarding, 2014 you released your first record, which I'm a big fan of. How did that come about? You know, obviously you had a publishing deal. How did it come about that you wanted to, you know, record your own songs and release your own record?
Well, the guy that signed me to my publishing deal, his name's Arthur Buenahora. He's incredible. He really just sees a vision in an artist. He works with Eric Church. We discovered Eric, Miranda Lambert, Dierks Bentley, just a bunch of people that I love. And so he ended up going to work at a record label and kind of just would bring some of my songs and my demos to the label. And I ended up going and playing. They came to see me open for Luke Bryan at the time. This was
amazing.
A while ago. I don't think Luke even I think he had released one song.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so it was a while ago, and they ended up coming to see me, and I signed shortly after and released. This is a bunch of information, and that story just kind of compressed, but ended up releasing through a different label at the time called Universal South Records. And I had met Jay Joyce through Arthur, who is incredible. And I still cannot believe, you know, the things that we've recorded and done that like we've never released. Someday I'm going to release those. But he's just amazing. And no one has ever pushed me that hard in the studio to just, I can't tell you how much I grew working with Jay. It was incredible. So we released the EP and then toured it a bunch, went out with Eric Church at the time, and he was barely, I mean, we were opening up clubs. I mean, he was playing clubs and I was opening for him. So it was a little bit ago, but yeah, still proud of that record.
It's a great record, and Jay Joyce is one of my favorite Nashville producers. He has produced some of my favorite records, my favorite songs. I'm a big fan, so I think it's super cool that you have that, you know, information about him and that story that he pushed you to make such an incredible record, and it's brilliant. So obviously you toured for a while and you continued songwriting, and would you say songwriting is your first love of, you know, with the playing and writing?
Yeah, definitely. I do, of course. I'm a music fan, so I'll hear a song that I didn't write that I absolutely am like, I want to sing this, I want to cover this. But there's something different about, I just have to write, you know, I have to write the songs. That something different about telling a story through your experience and singing about it, and, you know, linking with people and connecting with them that way. So yeah. Songwriting for sure.
And I think it's such a talent to be able to tell, you know, when you write your own songs, yes, this is for me, or no, it's for someone else. And, you know, you hear stories of people writing these hit songs and you're like, why didn't they record it? And they're like, it's just not my song. And I think, as you said, like, when they're your stories, it must be hard to give them out sometimes, I'm assuming, but I think that's a great trait to have, is that when you know.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. So talking of songwriting, 2018 you signed with BMG Nashville, which is amazing. But 2019 was a huge year for you. Obviously we have to talk about The Daughters.
Yes.
Song of the year, you got robbed so much. It was Song of the Year. I'm sorry, it was. I was doing a little bit of Instagram stalking, and I saw on one of your posts, Karen Fairchild of Little Big Town, obviously we're talking about their song, had written a comment saying, you said that day we wrote it was going to be a magical day. And it was. And it's a magical song. It's unbelievable. For anyone that hasn't heard it, go and listen now. Grammy nominated, obviously, for Little Big Town. Music Row of the Year, Song of the Year nominee. What was that day like? Obviously, I know you write a lot with Sean, who also co-wrote the song. So what was that day like, and did you ever expect this to come of it?
Oh my gosh. No, I didn't expect any of this. You never really know. But I did have that feeling, and I've been learning for years, practicing more and more, following my gut. And we had just finished my record, Sean and I, and I kept telling him, I said, I've never written with Karen Fairchild, but I just feel like I always send her and Jenny my records anytime that I get finished with one, and they offer advice, and they always ask, how can we help? They're just the kindest, most talented, wonderful people. I'm so grateful for them. But we I just had this feeling, and so I texted Karen and I said, hey, would you want to write with Sean and I? There's some crazy cool things happening. I just finished a record with him, and if you get the time, I would love it. We would both love it. And 9 months passed. They were on tour. They were out. Sean was out. I was writing, and she ended up coming back and being like, okay, I've got time. Let's do it. And we went in and we wrote one song, first song. Gosh, I can't remember what it's called. Can't remember, but we wrote that song, and Sean put his headphones on. He's so crazy talented, and he was kind of building the track and getting it ready to sing. And Karen and I just started talking about the music industry and women, and I thanked her because earlier that year there was a CMT Women of Country special. I don't know if you watched that, but she and Kimberly of Little Big Town, they both got up and they named, there had to have been 20 to 30 women, unsigned, making music, just doing their own thing, writing their own songs, and trying to build their own career that weren't getting any opportunities that, we're trying, but we're not getting the same opportunities as a lot of the men. And Karen said their name on television, and she went down, and I wasn't even one of them, and she just went down a list, and I thought, that is the coolest thing. That is what matters, to use your platform like that, to love people and to be kind. And so I thanked her for that. I was like, that is just so incredible. You're our queen. Just thank you. And we ended up talking about books, and all of a sudden she sang, there was this, I love Glennon Doyle Melton. She wrote a book called Love Warrior, and she has a new book called Untamed out. So we were talking about Glennon because Karen and Glennon know each other, and Brene Brown, and then we just wrote this song, and she just sang the first line of the song, and I sang the second, and then Sean took his headphones off and turns around, and he must have seen our faces. He's like, what is going on? And so Karen said, God for the daughters. And Sean said, I've heard of God the Son and God the Father. I'm just looking for a God for the daughters. And then we knew. We knew. It was written so fast. It was just truly like lightning speed struck. It was amazing.
Yeah, it's honestly such an incredible song. As I said, you were completely robbed. It was I was so shocked when I saw like CMA Song of the Year. I was like, where is it? One of the performances, the first performance they did of it at the ACMs, I obviously would have loved to have been there in person, but watching it, you could almost feel the atmosphere of just how much everyone kind of was holding their breath. I mean, when Karen, you know, the line, damn, I look good in this dress, and she choked up on stage, and you could almost feel the audience choking up. It's just such an incredible song. And then kind of the success of it. Did you feel it when you first heard it? Did you think this is gonna do well?
Yeah, the way Karen delivered it, the way she sings, she's just so convicted, and she was so excited about it, and it was so timely. And you know, there was some backlash about people making it religious, and I thought of it, and I think maybe Karen and Sean would agree, I thought of it as a prayer, as a way to say something so boldly to get people to pay attention. And yeah, I knew it's music can be so powerful. It can also be very in times it can be very scary. You have to be brave and bold with your words, and you never know what's going to happen. And but I knew it was so special. It was so special for me and for all of my female friends and artists in the industry. It was kind of like, well, here's one for us, you know. Yeah.
And I think, you know, you say about the backlash, you look at Girl Crush, which is their most successful song to date, the backlash that had, and you look at the success it had. So I think, if anything, you know, they say there's no such thing as bad press, but you know, obviously it worked. So obviously you have a great relationship with Karen and the guys at Little Big Town. I also saw they kind of helped you out in a massive way and gave you an amazing opportunity for the Opry back in October. I've been to the Opry, and I'm not a singer, but what I would do to sing on that stage. It is a place like no other. Tell me about that experience.
Oh my gosh, that was, still to this day, I'm not sure it happened. It was so magical. And I had kind of, you know, being in Nashville for so long and so many doors opening and then closing, and I had kind of, you know, put my possibilities and my dreams in other ways. Obviously singing at the Opry and the Ryman. I mean, the Ryman, I'm still is top on my list. When I get to do that, if I ever get to do that, it will just be another dream come true. But that day, they, you know, we got there. First of all, it was so special because my mom and grandfather came in, and they're my rocks, my pride and joy. And so they came in, and then 2 days later, my baby sister got flown in by a very good friend of ours, actually very good friends of Little Big Town as well. Flew her in, surprised me, and flew my sister in. So my people were there. All of my best friends were there, flew in from different parts of the country. And it was just, we got there, and, you know, we did some interviews and press, and then they said, well, we actually have time if you want to go stand in the circle. And I thought, okay, I hadn't really thought how that would affect me. And I'm really glad that I did that before my performance, because I went and I kind of held my sister's hand, and I went and stood there, and I just started weeping, like overcome with emotion, and just looking out at every light, every chair, and my dreams and the years and the songs and everything. Just, it was almost like a movie. They just started like flashing before my eyes. It was just the most, I'm really glad that I did that part, because I I don't know that I could have, I didn't realize it was going to hit me like that. So I'm glad I got that out before I went and performed. But Sean got to play guitar with me that night. And then we went out and sang The Daughters with Little Big Town. So just the night just kept getting more and more special. And I will never forget it. I'm so grateful for them. Little Big Town. They're just everything.
Yeah, they do so much for artists and songwriters, and amazing. And I just have to, on a personal note, the outfit as well from that night. The Opry outfit was amazing.
That was crazy how that happened, because I was in Deadwood, South Dakota. I had just got done playing around with some friends, and there was a festival going on, and we were all having dinner. And I was sitting across from Kristen, who owns the showroom here in Nashville. And the showroom dresses everybody for all the award shows. Kristen's insanely talented with just, she keeps up with all fashion from around the world, everything. So I got the FaceTime from Little Big Town, and she was like, I have the perfect outfit for you to wear. And I kind of was just like, okay, because I trusted her that much. And it came in, and I got it, altered. And it was just, that's friends and people are what make the world go around. And beautiful.
Yeah, it was a great outfit and a great opportunity, I can imagine. And I'm sure you will make the Ryman. I will keep my fingers crossed. I'm so sure it will happen, because again, what a magical place.
Maybe you can fly in and be here.
Oh my goodness, I will be there. If you play the Ryman, I will be there, as long as we're allowed to fly. I was meant to be in Nashville in June, and I'm like, oh, okay, no.
Oh,
I know. But yeah, that's fine. So we were talking kind of before we started recording about releasing new music during this time. We also spoke about your love of Dixie Chicks, and I know that their album's been delayed, which we're all gutted about, but I'm so glad that you're not delaying it. And we've had kind of two new singles from you within this crazy time. St. Patrick's Day, what a song. What a day to release it, of course. The video, everything about it just kind of hits you right in the heart. So that song, you can tell just by listening to it, it means a lot to you. Can you talk us through that and the experience of writing it and the video, everything?
Yeah, it's about my dad, who we lost 12 years ago, but he raised my sister and I to just be wonderful people. To never judge, to never, he raised us in bars. We just have met and were exposed to all different kinds of music, people. And I realize now, and I write about this a lot, all of those times were preparing me for playing in bars, for having to bartend for a while. It's just, he's just incredible. And when we wrote that song, I remember telling Sean, I was crying, I was bawling, and I said, I don't know why we're writing these songs. I'm never going to be able to sing them. So somewhere along the way, I can sing them now. They still choke me up, but yeah, it's about my dad, and it's all, every line is true, with my mom beating him all the time in pool, and he would just fill my sister and I's hands with quarters, so we could go play the jukebox, and we'd drink Shirley Temples, play shuffleboard, and that's how we grew up.
Yeah, that's amazing. And the video to go with it, I mean, so special to you to have that, to look back on and to make it was just stunning, and probably one of my favorites you've released so far. I definitely shed a tear when I watched that video. And it's a gorgeous song. And then obviously today is the release of Waiting, which I know you said is all about your 17-year journey. one line really stood out to me when I heard it. 14 years into this so-called 10-year town, it's something so many people say Nashville is a 10-year town, and for some people it is, some people it isn't. And 17 years, I mean, you've achieved a lot. But what was it like? Do you remember kind of hitting that 10-year point and being like, okay, what's going on now?
Yeah, I remember hitting the 10-year point and thinking, okay, well, sometimes it's 11, and I've already, everybody's journey is different, and I've already, I've done a lot, and I'll just keep going. And of course, it gets you down sometimes. I had to finally have this for real conversation, come to Jesus with myself. Ash, get the 10-year town thing out of your mind. Like, your journey is different. It's going to take you longer. And just, I remember writing down, funny enough, this is long before I knew Little Big Town. This is years ago. I wrote down something on a piece of paper and taped it to my wall. And it was Karen that said, nobody gets to tell us when we're done. Only we can decide that. And I read that every day. I'd walk out the door. Sometimes I'd be going to the studio. Sometimes I'd be going to bartend, and I read it all the time. I could see it right now. I probably have it saved somewhere, but yeah, so 17 years. And I mean, it might take me, I don't know. I think if as long as you don't quit and you're really doing what you love, success can be measured in a lot of different ways. My biggest achievement so far, I feel in my heart, is the release of this record that's so bold, and it's really vulnerable, and I had to get really, really brave in order to decide to release this. So yeah, I guess never stopping, never quitting. How can you feel if you don't quit?
Yeah, and I suppose, obviously we've talked about them a lot, but Little Big Town are huge ambassadors for how long it took them. They had failed record deals and everything before, their first number one was Pontoon, which was their eighth album. So, it works. Keep going. So the song is obviously, there's so many anecdotes and so many, you talk about Eric Church in it. All these experiences, was it a long writing process? Did it come to you quickly? Was it just kind of a reminiscing day and it just turned into a song? How did it actually piece together?
I got the idea in my head. I was mopping the floor and closing up Fat Bottom Brewery. It's a brewery in town that one of my best friends, we met there, working there, and honestly, it kept the lights on for 4 years while I just kept writing. And I was actually stuck in a songwriting contract that I couldn't get out of, and I was not getting paid. And so for 2 years, I just continued to write. And I remember mopping the floor and thinking, God, I'm tired of waiting. I'm tired of waiting tables. I'm tired of just waiting for this dream. Like, maybe it's not in the cards for me. Maybe this is, and I just kept thinking, I thought, waiting, okay, on all of the kinds of waiting that I have done, all of the kinds of, and so I had that for months, just I jotted it down in my journal, and I brought it to Sean, and I scribbled out kind of a chorus, I think, sent it to him, and he was like, wow, friend, this is really cool. And we went in, and I think it might have taken us, I think we might have looked at it one day and ended up being like really hyped about another idea. And then when we came back, it came out so fast that we kind of both were like, okay. So it came out fast once the bones and the shape of it were there.
Yeah, amazing. And I suppose it must have felt really good releasing it when, a lot of it has started to become a reality, you know, things like the Opry and achieving these amazing things. Did you want to sing it for us now? If you are prepared. I will edit this so it is just you on the screen, hopefully.
I am going to turn my amp on. So we used Sean's electric and a Fender amp, and so I'm going to recreate them.
Oh, yeah.
I love that. Well, you want to lay down, please? Well, Seeger wants to play it too. Okay, Bubby. Can you get back for a second? Will you sit down? Oh, your breath really smells. Thank you, Leah, so much for having me. This is so cool.
Oh, this is awesome. Thank you.
Okay, come on. I think I have a bad chord. Paint my smile in the mirror when the real one's gone. It's just a good show that I thought I'd put on. I've been tables when I should be singing songs. Cut my teeth on these bar stools that I'm serving now. I might have to do acoustic.
Yeah.
This chord's bad. Darn it.
Technical difficulties.
It was working right before we came on.
No, that's okay.
Okay. It's a lot better to have technical difficulties in your living room than it is on stage.
Yeah.
So, okay. I paint my smile in the mirror when the real one's gone. It's just ain't the kind of show that I thought I'd put on. Wiping tables when I should be singing songs. I cut my teeth on these bar stools that I'm serving now. I watch all my friends grow up and they just leave this town. Guess I'm lost again, right where I was found. Waiting, thank God I didn't know at 22 how goddamn long a dream takes to come true. Passing by all the marquees I used to run around. I played that stage with their church till they took my name down. 14 years into this so-called 10-year town, and I'm waiting. I'm not where I thought I'd be at 32. How goddamn long does it take to make a dream got stubborn in the water where I come from. And you don't wait on trains. You think we'll never come. So I'm waiting, waiting. I can't wait to hear the things I'll say at 42. But how goddamn long does it take to make a dream come true? Yay!
Individual applause, but you get it. I'm sure people will be applauding from home. That was amazing. I love it acoustically. That was beautiful. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Right, I have some quick fire questions for you. I know we're a bit pushed for time, but I will fire these at you, and then if you're happy to play one last song for us, that would be amazing. Right, so my first quick fire: 3 songs you wish you'd written.
Okay.
Tough to narrow down, I know, but
Wow. What a great question. Angel from Montgomery, John Prine. Oh my gosh, I'm gonna think of more later on, and I'm gonna have to email you. Angry All the Time, Bruce Robinson. And Humble and Kind.
oh yeah, don't we all? I could not write a song if I tried, but I wish I'd written Humble and Kind. I think I know the answer to this already from a conversation we had earlier. If you could never write a song again or never perform on stage again, which would you choose?
Ooh, never perform again. I have to write.
Yeah. And last question: 3 people you've never written with that are kind of top of your list you want to write with.
Oh my gosh. I've gotten to write with a lot of people I love. I'd love to write with Miranda Lambert. She's incredible. I would love to write. I mean, are we dreaming here?
Yeah.
Bob Seger. And Patty Griffin.
Nice.
Yeah.
Right, we'll get this to them. They'll be able to hear it. And we'll make it happen. If I have any power, we'll try.
Yeah. Not even another one, Gillian Welch.
Nice.
There we go.
That's just, the list is endless. I assume it's just. I mean, you've written with some amazing people already. So I know our time is coming to an end. So I just want to thank you so much for being my very first guest. It's been amazing. I've absolutely loved talking with you, and hopefully we'll be able to do it again, maybe face to face, hopefully
face to face
when we're allowed. But if you're happy to, would you like to sing us out with one more song?
Yes, I would love to. Well, since we've talked about it, we might have to do The Daughters.
Yes, let's do it. I will try not to sing along.
Sing along, please.
I won't. I will have to mute myself because you do not want to hear that. No one needs to hear that. I'll mime it.
Just get the harmony. You can do it.
You don't need it. Trust me.
Oh, girl, wash your face before you come to the table. Girl, know your place, be willing and able. Take it on the chin, let the best man win. Girl, shoulders back, stand up straight. Girl, watch your mouth, watch your weight. Mind your manners, smile for the camera. Pose like a trophy on a shelf. Dream for everyone, but not yourself. I've heard of God the Son and God the Father. I'm just looking for a guy for the dark. Girl, don't be weak, don't be strong. Say what you want, just as long as you nod your head with your lipstick on. Pose like a trophy on a shelf. Dream for everyone, but not yourself. I've heard of God the Son and God the Father. I'm just looking for a guy for the dark. Wash the dishes, feed the kids, and clean up all this mess. Do my best, forgive myself, and look good in this dress. Damn, I look good in this dress. Pose like a trophy on a shelf. I dream for everyone, but not myself. I've heard of God the Son, God the Father. And damn, I love my son, I love my father. I'm still looking for a guy for the dogs. I'm just looking for a guy for the dollars. For the dollars.
Amazing. Thank you so much. It has been an absolute pleasure. I can't wait to hear more music. Thank you so much. It's been amazing. You are the best.
You are the best. If I can do anything or help you in any way, I'm so happy to be a part of Behind the Sounds. This is so cool. I feel very honored to be your first guest. So let me know if you need to get in touch with any more guests.
Please,